Welcome to Street Smart Self Defense. My name is Ben Polar. Today we're going to talk about self defense and the philosophy behind self defense and what keeps people motivated to train in self defense. And with us today, we have Grandmaster Gordon Simile. And I have been a student of Grandmaster Gordon Similes for many years. And I think I started taking your classes in about 2002 or something like that.
Pretty
It's
close.
been quite a
It's been a
while.
while. Been a
And
while.
I'll let you introduce yourself with your background and your extensive experience.
Sure. Um, it became a way of life for me after I saw my first instructor throw a high roundhouse kick. And when I saw that, I started drooling and I said, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. The foundational art was Taekwondo under Grandmaster Dr. Sangki Pak. He had black belts in Taekwondo and Kung Fu from Korea. So he
Hmm.
actually taught us some Kung Fu as well. But Taekwondo was our foundation. And then worked with reactive knife self defense, Philippine stick fighting, Eskrima, Okinawan Kubudo weapons of the tonfa and the 6 foot staff.
Hmm.
And then recently I've started working in Aido, which is samurai sword katana, and also a year and a half into jujitsu, thanks to my good friend here. Ben got me started in that, and I'll be forever grateful because it's fantastic.
I knew that you would end up liking it because it's different, but it's also got a lot of the same qualities as martial arts class that you're used to. It's just different type, or you're on the ground more. So,
Absolutely.
all right, so let's dive right into it here. What kind of mindset needs to be developed to be successful in self-defense? Um, Not just martial arts in general, but like if somebody wants to take self-defense all around, what kind of mindset and philosophy?
Well, a lot of it is believing in yourself and just walking through that dojo door. I think on a previous episode, Master Tracy did a great job talking about having that confidence to just walk in the dojo door for the
Hmm.
first
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And once you've done that, a good instructor is going to guide you and help you to grow and do all the things that you thought you wanted to do in learning any kind of martial art. So it's just having that self confidence to walk in the first time.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest steps to go through. Um, so as far as the philosophy goes, what kind of philosophy do you think needs to kind of be developed when you start learning in self-defense or martial arts or whatever you decide to do?
Well, it's a lot like anything you do. If you are learning to play another sport or you're learning to sew, or you're going to
Hmm.
read about it and
Hmm.
learn more about what you're doing. And a
Hmm.
good student needs to do that as well. They need to, I call it deep diving
Hmm.
into the art that you've chosen. Maybe it's sport firearms.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and if it's that, there's a lot of great material on that.
Hmm.
Martial arts,
Hmm.
there's an infinite amount of material you can read, but um, but deep dive into the art, and the more you do that, it actually adds to your self confidence because now you understand more about what you're doing
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
not just doing physical motions.
Hmm. Excellent. All right, when you teach self-defense with someone with no previous training or experience, what are some of the most practical concepts, both mental and physical, that would help them out the most?
Well, there again, hand yourself over to your instructor. And what I mean by that is be open minded. When you walk in that door, most people are going to have a lot of preconceived notions about what martial arts training is all about. But trust in the fact that a good instructor wants you to be successful. And they are not going to compare you to any other student. I think a lot of people are afraid that, oh, I don't have the flexibility, so I'm not going to be able to do the kicks, or I have a little extra weight on. I do want to lose that, but I don't want to be compared to some of the other students that are maybe in
Mm-hmm.
better physical condition already. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You will find that you will have a new family of friends, and this is good for your mental health as well. Not just learning self-defense, but having new people that you now call friends and family that will train alongside you. But the instructor will never compare you to other students to where you feel self-conscious that you're not keeping up, you're not learning fast enough. You will go at your own pace. And I think that by itself should be an incentive to walk in and try it, because you will just go at your own pace and what you feel comfortable with, and eventually you'll be competing with yourself. You'll be saying, oh, I can do better at that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I always found each class. It was addictive. Each class I would go, oh, I did that better than yesterday, and so you'd want to get better again.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was a new technique, and you, oh, I struggle with that, but I know what I need to do. And then a week or so later, it's like, oh, I did much better at that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that self confidence starts to grow, and your self esteem is that I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what a good instructor is going to help you with.
Do you think sometimes if somebody has previous training, or maybe they've watched a lot of TV or whatnot, come in with some preconceived notions? And if somebody has previous training, have you run into it like in your self-defense classes or martial arts classes where they're like, well, this is actually how we did it here, or this is how we did it somewhere else? And you don't want to turn them off and say, oh, well, and say that we don't want you in the class or anything like that. But how do you address something like that if somebody says, well, this is how we did it at the other place?
Well, I'll give an example. Is our current jujitsu instructor is great at this. He understands that we've done a lot of what we call stand up as opposed to ground fighting.
Mm-hmm.
And he respects all the years we've put into that. But there are times where he'll have to gently say, let's look at it this way. Let's try it this way and see how
Mm-hmm.
that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times you'll find I've actually changed a couple of the techniques I teach in stand up to do it more the jujitsu style, because it's actually more effective. So
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that the way I was taught was wrong. There's just a better way to do it sometimes. And but Gabe is very good at easing you into it without making you feel like you're not getting it or you're not doing it correctly. But overall, mental discipline and lack of ego is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Ego can get in the way of people walking in,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you've experienced that many a times
Yes.
in
Yes.
police training. You have to check that at the door,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll find it's a great benefit. And you'll find how little you do know, as opposed to what you thought you knew. And yes, it's humbling at first, but overall, you start to think, "Oh, I really needed that. I needed to be humbled." And now that I am, my mind is much more open to learning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what do you think some misconceptions about self-defense that can affect someone's training that are out there?
Well, movies and TV are probably,
Yeah.
on a positive side, they have really brought a lot of focus onto martial arts of all types, and that's a really good thing. But on the downside, in order to make the movie appealing or the TV show appealing, they make the practitioner act like they're just looking to get into trouble because they want to use their training, and that is so totally opposite of what martial arts is all about. As I had mentioned before, deep diving. If you deep dive into, for instance, the world of the samurai, well, what most of us know is just their ferocity with a sword on the battlefield, but we don't know the side of them was so gentle and kind. When they came back to their village, they put that sword down and they worked to help their village and plant crops and help somebody that maybe had damage to their home from a storm or whatever.
Hmm.
They were the ones that were out helping their fellow neighbors, and that's what we want to develop as martial artists. It's about being a good person, becoming a better person, becoming a compassionate person.
Hmm.
Even if I have to defend myself, I only want to take it as far as disengaging with that person who's trying to harm me. I never want to, okay, I have him on the ground, now I'm going to really pound him. That's not the mental attitude we have.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that's really important to note.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's also misconceptions, when I train in the law enforcement world too and such. A lot of misconceptions of the public is that, everybody learns secret ninja training where if somebody pulls a knife on you as a police officer, well, you're going to know exactly how to take that knife away from them or whatnot. And that's not true. Most of the hands-on training an officer gets is at the academy. And yeah, some officers like myself train quite a bit in martial arts outside of their job, which was only to our benefit. But no, there's no secret techniques. In fact, if you're in a martial arts class, if you do the math on it, if you've been in martial arts for many years and every single week you train, 2 to 3 times a week, you get a lot more hands-on training in that martial arts class than you do what's provided to you to law enforcement. It is what it is, but that's just one of the misconceptions that I end up dealing with. And then sometimes there's misconceptions too. If somebody comes to a self-defense class or whatnot on exactly what you're going to teach, and honestly, most of the time, the most simple, most basic concepts are the ones that are going to help you out the most,
Exactly.
mentally and physically.
Exactly. Not to mention names, but everyone's that follows professional basketball is familiar with the new star Wembayama for the San Antonio Spurs, and he actually, in the off season, went to the Shaolin Temple in China and trained in Shaolin martial arts for a couple of weeks in order to give himself an edge that he thought he could get from that type of training, which had nothing to do with basketball training, but it really helped him. And when he's been interviewed, he said it helped him tremendously. So that's the beauty of martial arts is you may train for 50 years and never have to use it once. And a lot of people, your newer students will look at you like, what? You never had to use it once? And I'll tell them, well, that means no one ever tried to hurt me or my friends or family, number one. And I didn't ever have to hurt anyone else. So the training wasn't about using it. The training was the physical health that it gave me, and also that added compassion because you know what you're capable of, and so you're more gentle with people. But that Shaolin training helped Wembayama quite a bit.
And I'm guessing too, you got some good success stories from students that maybe have the same thing happen. Maybe they're able to avoid something, or if they did have to use their hands to defend themselves. Do you have any stories from some students?
Well, over the years, and again, every instructor would love to see that number at zero because that means none of their students ever faced the ugliness of violence. And it is ugly. Self defense isn't about violence or hurting people. It's the vehicle that we use to reach health and happiness. The happiness side of it, again, people look at, well, where's the happiness side of it come from? That's if you deep dive into the spiritual side of the martial arts. You have mind, body, spirit. Well, the mind and body will be developed. The spirit side is based in Buddhism, and that's not a religion. So if you're Catholic, you can be a Buddhist. There are Catholic priests who are Buddhists. There are Jewish rabbis who are Buddhists. It's a system that was developed to try and reduce the suffering footprint of the human race. And so as martial artists, we're always looking at how much can we do to reduce suffering, not to increase suffering. But 4 of my students over the years had come to me with stories of being forced and they were forced. They would have walked away or tried to talk their way out, de-escalate, as law enforcement often talks about. And what they have to use constantly is de-escalating techniques. They would have done that obviously before they were engaged in self-defense. But in all four situations, very dangerous situations, they all came out ahead on top and they were safe. And that to me was a proud moment. Not a proud moment, I guess that's not a great word, because pride, we like to take that out of the equation. But I was very happy that people that I really cared about, that I've spent a lot of time training, are safe because of what they learned.
That's fantastic. And yeah, there's definitely going to be a certain amount of pride, and it's because of these are your students, and those are great stories. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. And anything other for closing thoughts on what we've been talking about today?
Yeah, just be open-minded about, there are so many types of martial arts that are available for you. Like I say, there's also other self-defense vehicles. Maybe getting a concealed carry permit and learning how to use a firearm. There's many different ways you can learn to defend yourself. But be open to looking at what system might work best for you. And then pursuing that. And you may get in the middle of that and go, I thought this was going to work for me, but I'm not. I'm going to try this other system. And be open-minded to go in a different direction. But there's a lot of avenues out there for learning self-defense, a lot of good instructors across all genres of self-defense. And so seek them out and use all that experience that they've spent all these years building up.
All right. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. And in closing, remember, be safe, be smart, be street smart. Ready for a double punch. Ready? Double punch! Nice work.